Hello, driving intelligence community. What you see behind me is my 1985 Mustang SVO. Out of 3 years, 84, 85, and 86, this is one of less than 10,000 units made. And because people never really realized what this vehicle was like, probably more than half of them are gone, destroyed, or parted out. Now, true to the theme of my channel, I like to upgrade what I've got. I don't want to go buy something new and get rid of what I had. This was the first car I ever bought for myself. I'm keeping it for as long as I can. And I want to do some upgrades in performance, and that involves installing the 1986 Mustang SVO PE computer, which is a much better computer. It gives better performance. It enhances timing. It's a little more aggressive, but it also requires additional fuel and therefore bigger fuel injectors and a bigger fuel pump. The 86 SVO had an in-tank pump. The 84 and early 85 had an in-tank pump, which is a priming pump, and then the high pressure pump was on the frame rail and right in front of this axle. It's not really a frame rail, it's a unibody, but there's a structure there that looks kind of like a frame. And what I'm going to do is get rid of this high pressure pump external to the tank and go with a bigger pump. So there's some things I had to do to make this work. One of the benefits that I'll share with you in a future video is going with dual exhausts on this car. And in order to do that, you had to get rid of this frame rail pump. So let's go take a look at what I'm doing, because I'm sure there's still some of you out there that want to maybe upgrade your Mustang SVO or 84, early 85 to a high performance pump, put some dual exhaust in it. This will show you how to do it. Let's start with looking at the tank. Now, one thing I do every time I take parts out is I clean them up, de-rust them, and paint them, and that's what I did to the tank. Pinch welds were showing some signs of rust. I want to make sure it looked good, especially since you can see the tank at the back of a Fox Mustang. I don't know why it had to show, unless you got the deep GT skirts. But now let's take a look at the pumps. So here is the in-tank pump, and you can see how puny that pump is, about the size of my thumb. Again, that's the priming pump. And then here is the high pressure pump that's located on the frame rail. And here are two electrical connections I'll explain in a moment. But here's where the big pump went. So this is the new high pressure pump to get rid of the two pumps. And this is from Quantum. I don't work for them. They don't work for me. They don't sponsor me. I paid full price for this. And that's why I'm going to tell you, well, I would tell you anyway. They have lifetime warranties on these. And the first one they sent me did not work out of the box. I decided to test it on a battery to make sure that it worked, would not spin. Called them up without a hitch. They sent me a brand new pump. And then the other thing I wanted to do to make sure I had enough power going to the pump was get a wiring harness from late model restoration for Fox Mustangs. And this has, I think, heavier gauge wire to handle additional requirements of a big fuel pump. Now let's look at the vehicle and where all this is going to go. All right, so the tank was right there behind the axle. And this is where the frame rail pump was. This is what I'm referring to as kind of a frame rail. It's basically adding structure to the vehicle for the unibody. This is the fuel filter. So the in-tank pump primed the fuel system. It delivered fuel up to the high pressure pump through these fuel lines, and then it went through the fuel filter up to the engine. And you want to get rid of this in order to run a single high pressure fuel pump in the tank. So I pulled that pump down, and this wiring harness, which is really, it connects here, and this is all part of that high pressure fuel pump. I found out that this connects easily with these male connectors, and what I can do is run some additional wire here. Now, why is this important? Well, when anybody talks about putting a bigger fuel pump inside the Mustang SVO, they say what you got to do is run a new wire, a heavier gauge wire, up to the fuel relay that is really, I think it's underneath the front seat. So it's somewhere over here. And I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to cobble anything up or botch anything up. I wanted to be able to return this vehicle to stock. So I decided that after some investigation, this is why I'm pointing this out, these wires could handle enough power, enough amperage to power the new high pressure in-tank fuel pump, because that's what these were for in the first place. So again, I disconnected this. I've run some wiring from up here where the connector is. It's going to go to the tank. That's the harness I just showed you from late model restoration. It's going to tap right in there. And what I did was depin the wires that went through the harness all the way up to that fuel pressure relay. And I got another connector exactly like this from late model restoration. I'll link all this in the description of the video. And I used the pins from that one to repin this so I could run this power from here. This is going from that pump again, where the pump was. And it's going to go all the way over here and ran into this connector right here. And I've got all the amperage I need to power that new pump. Now, I hope that's not too confusing. I'm sorry if it is. I just wanted to make sure I could get this out there and show it to you because it's been so long since I've been working on this. Up here, you can see these are just the fuel lines that are going to, and the vacuum that are going to the fuel tank. But that's basically it. When you turn the key, it gets primed through these wires here. It's going to turn on that pump in the tank right here, and you'll have fuel at the engine. The last thing I got to do up front is put a new fuel pressure regulator in, because the additional fuel is going to overpressurize the system, and I need to drop that fuel pressure down when I get the new fuel pump in. So stay tuned for that. I hope that wasn't too confusing. If it was, give me a question in the comments of the video, and I'll see you next time on Driving Intelligence.